For as long as I can remember, my mom hated me. She slipped me sleeping pills when I was 3. At 5, she tried pesticide, but I was tough to kill. By 7, I'd already learned to fight back. If she wouldn't feed me, I'd flip the table so nobody got to eat. If she beat me to the ground, I'd go after her precious son the same way, leave him bruised and crying. That's how things went until I turned 12. Everything changed when my baby sister was born. I was awkwardly trying to help change her diaper when mom suddenly slammed me against the wall. Her eyes were full of disgust and fear. What were you trying to do to my daughter? I knew it. You're just like that monster of a father. Why didn't you die with him? I held my throbbing head. For the first time, I didn't fight back. I believed her. My whole existence was a mistake. I never should have been born. By the time I limped to Granny's place, it was already dark. She saw how messed up I was, but didn't seem surprised. She grabbed her first aid kit and patched me up like always, then made me a plate of carbonara. Usually I'd eat while swearing I'd get her back tomorrow. But this time I just stared at the food and asked quietly, "Granny, I'm not actually Dad's kid, am I?" She didn't answer, but the disgust that flickered in her eyes told me everything. She stood up abruptly and started wiping the table over and over, right where the first aid kit had been. That's when it hit me. My blood was something they all wanted to stay away from. I was the son of a rapist. No wonder Mom hated me. A wave of nausea hit me. I ran outside and leaned against the fence, gagging. The night air stung the cuts on my face. Before, whenever Mom hit me, I told myself she owed me for every bruise. Someday, I'd make her pay it all back. But now, I couldn't even look her in the eye. I didn't stay at Granny's. She didn't come after me either. I just wandered the streets with nowhere to go. That's when I spotted a family outside a restaurant. They were celebrating someone's birthday, all smiles and laughter. The woman in the middle was probably the mom. She looked so happy that I instinctively stepped back. Last year, on Mom's birthday, she'd smiled just like that until she saw me. The second I walked in, her smile vanished. Pure disgust replaced it. Back then, we had to write an essay called My Mother. I wrote that Mom was a heartless villain. My teacher dragged me to her office and lectured me for the whole period. I barely heard any of it. All I remembered was her saying, "No mother in this world would ever stop loving her child." I believed her. I saved up money from collecting recyclables and bought Mom a birthday cake. All I wanted was a hug, the same kind she gave my brother, Casper, but her cold expression felt like a knife to the heart. I felt like an idiot, standing there with that stupid cake. Anger took over. When no one was looking, I caught a couple of frogs from the garden and hid them in the cake. I can still remember her scream when they jumped out. Back then, I felt a twisted satisfaction. I thought she didn't deserve to be a mother. I thought she had it coming. But now I knew the truth. I was the one who didn't deserve anything. Just existing had hurt her. As I watched that mom smiling through the restaurant window, I made up my mind. This year, for Mom's birthday, I'd give her a present she'd actually be happy with, one that would set her free for good. I decided to die. Once that thought took hold, my steps felt lighter. I even started planning how to do it without causing trouble, something clean, with no mess left behind. But before I could go through with it, a patrol officer spotted me and brought me home. Mom answered the door. As it shut behind us, I stared at the floor, unable to meet her eyes. Her voice cut through the air like ice. "Why didn't you just die out there?" I almost snapped back, but I bit my tongue. Still, I couldn't stop myself from asking, "What would you do if I really did die? Would she feel even a little sad? If you've got the guts, go ahead. I'd throw a party." She walked straight into my sibling's room and shut the door. I stood frozen in the living room. After a long time, I wiped my face and let out a hollow laugh. Mom was definitely going to love the birthday present I had in mind. The kid who collected recyclables with me was an orphan named Samuel. He'd bounced around foster homes his whole life and always knew where to find money that others missed. After school, I bought him a popsicle. We sat on the curb together, and I lowered my voice. "How does someone die in a way that looks like an accident?" Samuel stared at me like I'd lost my mind. Then he shoved his half-eaten popsicle into my hand. "Stay away from me. I'm not getting mixed up in anything illegal." I blinked, holding 2 popsicles. "Illegal? What are you talking about? I'm serious. How does someone, accidentally die? Preferably without too much pain. They might get scared." He sucked in a breath and tried to run. I dropped the popsicles and grabbed him. "You ate my treat. You're helping me whether you like it or not." Samuel gave up and slumped onto the sidewalk looking miserable. "Dude, you've got parents. Why do you want to die? Sure, they hit you, but they don't exactly starve you. Look at your arms. You're stronger than me." The words got stuck in my throat. I wanted to tell him that was exactly why it hurt so much. They weren't completely evil, but they weren't kind either. Now that I knew how I came to exist, I couldn't even justify my own anger. I didn't think I could keep living like this. But saying any of that would only cause more trouble for Mom. So I just said hoarsely, "Are you gonna help me or not?" He wailed. "You're trying to kill your mom. Why would I get involved?" I froze, staring at him in confusion. When did I ever say that? Before I could explain, a shrill scream cut through the air. "Bad guys trying to hurt Mom!" My brain short-circuited. Slowly, I turned toward the voice. It was my brother, Casper. He burst out crying and screaming, running so fast one of his shoes flew off. That night, the sound of hitting echoed through the house. Mom swung a broom at me like I was her worst enemy. Her eyes were red with fury. But I saw something else too. The tears in the corners of her eyes. I'd seen them before. Back then, I thought she was faking. I would slam into her and swear that once I grew up, I'd make her pay for everything. But that night, I just curled up on the cold floor and didn't move. Eventually, the broom slipped from her fingers and hit the ground with a thud. Mom didn't look back. She stumbled into her room. A long time passed before I pushed myself up. I heard a muffled sob from behind her door, the kind that only escapes when you're trying so hard to hold it in. That sob cut through me like a blade. My face stung. I collapsed back onto the tiles and covered my eyes with my arm, but all I felt was something wet. It wasn't tears. It was blood mixed with dust. Just like me. Filthy. You know, when she was 19, she cried the same way. I looked up sharply. Granny stood in the doorway, her cloudy eyes drifting somewhere between me and a memory she couldn't let go of. That night, she came home with torn clothes and bruises everywhere. She didn't cry out loud. She just bit her lip until it bled. My heart sank. She tried to get rid of you, but she was too weak. After you were born, I abandoned you myself. But the police showed up the next morning holding you, saying abandonment is a crime. They said they'd check back. My whole life was a sick joke. Nobody wanted me here, yet here I was. Granny cleaned my wounds like she always did. She looked exhausted, but she kept talking. Don't blame her. She's been hurting for a long time. I lowered my head and laughed. Granny, I don't blame her anymore. I didn't hate Mom anymore, but she still hated me enough to want me gone. The night she pressed a pillow over my face, she didn't know I was awake. Her hands were trembling, but I didn't struggle. I just closed my eyes and waited. Just as my lungs were about to give out, someone yanked Mom off me. Granny's voice was shaky and hoarse. Have you lost your mind? Are you really gonna throw your life away again because of him? It's not worth it. Once was enough. Mom collapsed into her arms and let out a broken sob. Mom, I can't take it anymore. What if he turns out just like his father? Granny held her tight, but her eyes drifted toward me. For a second, I thought she noticed my eyes were half open, but she only whispered calmly, let's go back to bed. Mom's crying faded away. I lay there, gasping for air, then pulled the blanket over my face and rolled onto my side. I had no idea how long it was before dawn started to break. That's when Granny walked in, carrying a big enamel cup. It was full of steaming mushroom soup. Drinking mushroom soup first thing in the morning was weird, but she just set the cup on my nightstand and said, her voice as steady as the lines on her face, drink. I understood what she meant. I almost wanted to tell her they were in such a hurry. If they'd waited a few more days, I would have been dead without anyone noticing. Now if I died, they'd have a lot more to deal with. I said nothing. I picked up the cup. The heat stung my hands. I tilted my head back and swallowed every drop. The strange bitterness spread from my tongue all the way down to my chest. When it was empty, I set it back on the nightstand, lay down, pulled the blanket over myself, and waited for the end. Granny picked up the... She stood there for a few seconds, said nothing, and walked out. The effects came fast. Pain twisted through my stomach, then a cold spread across my whole body until my teeth were chattering. My vision blurred. Sounds grew distant. I heard Granny pacing back and forth. It sounded like she was making a phone call. Then came the wail of an ambulance. Hurried voices. Harsh lights. Under the blinding hospital lights, a tube was shoved down my throat to pump my stomach. I gagged until my chest felt like it was being ripped open. Tears and snot smeared all over my face. A young doctor glanced at me, then at Granny's pale face. He frowned. What happened? Is there something wrong with the... He lowered his voice, suspicion creeping in. With the last bit of strength I had, I grabbed his sleeve. My voice came out rough and barely there. It was me. I took the medicine myself. He froze. His eyes shifted toward me with something complicated behind them. I let go, collapsed against the bed, and stared at the ceiling. Being hard to kill might be its own kind of curse. I couldn't even manage to die. Granny stood by the bed, her back hunched, her gray hair brushing against her cheeks. Before I closed my eyes, I thought I saw a tear slide down her face and hit the floor. After I got out of the hospital, home felt like a frozen grave. The walls were still white, the furniture was still neat, but everyone looked drained, like somebody had sucked all the life out of them. I became more obedient than ever. I ate quietly, went to school quietly, came home quietly, worked quietly. I turned myself into a silent shadow, trying not to take up any space. I even started looking after Casper. Be good. Don't make Mom mad. I told him, wiping crumbs from his mouth with a calm I'd never had before. He looked up at me, confused, but there was a hint of trust in his eyes. As for my baby sister, Janet, Mom guarded her like I was some kind of threat. I still found a way to sneak into town to the church people said was miraculous. I only had a couple bucks, but I spent it all on a lucky charm. When Mom was spacing out in the kitchen during Janet's nap, I slipped in like a ghost and tucked the charm into the corner of Janet's blanket. I hoped she'd grow up safe. Then I decided to leave. I was a coward. If I wasn't going to die, then disappearing would have to do. No goodbyes needed. It was a scorching summer afternoon. The sun beat down so hard it made me dizzy. I walked aimlessly along the dusty path by the reservoir. Then a sharp, panicked scream rang out. Connor! I spun around and saw Casper lose his footing and plunge into that deep, murky water.